Welcome to Storied Audio. Sunlight streamed through the open windows of a modest apartment, catching on dust motes that danced lazily through the air. Anna sat at the kitchen table, her laughter echoing too brightly, too sharply, as if she were trying to convince the room she was happy. Across from her sat Michael, her boyfriend of nearly 3 years, smiling with that quiet warmth she used to love. But her laughter came too easily now, too rehearsed. It had been weeks since the affair began. It wasn't something she planned. It crept up on her slowly, accidental touches, late-night conversations softened by too much wine, and finally a kiss that crossed a line she told herself had already faded. What she had with Julian wasn't love. It was escape, lust, the thrill of being wanted without responsibility. At least, that's what she told herself. Michael never suspected a thing. Or if he did, he never let it show. He made her coffee every morning, rubbed her feet when she came home late, listened patiently as she vented about work. He was steady, predictable, safe, and safe had begun to feel like suffocation. One night, Anna came home with her blouse misbuttoned and the faint scent of another man's cologne clinging to her skin. Michael was in the kitchen, cooking her favorite, chicken piccata. He smiled at her, his eyes crinkling at the corners like they always did. "How was work?" he asked, stirring the sauce. "Busy," she replied, kicking off her heels. "Long meetings. You know how it is." He nodded and turned back to the stove. That night, she lay beside him, his arm wrapped around her waist, staring into the darkness. She thought about Julian, the heat of his breath, the way he made her feel new, wanted. Michael murmured something in his sleep and pulled her closer. Guilt pressed heavy on her chest, but she stayed silent, awake until dawn. The final morning came quietly. Michael kissed her forehead before she left for work and told her he had something planned for their upcoming anniversary. She smiled, thanked him, and walked out the door with her phone buzzing in her pocket, Julian asking when they could meet again. She didn't know it was the last time she would see Michael. When she came home that evening, the apartment felt wrong. Too quiet. His shoes were gone from the mat. His coat was missing from the hook. She called his name once, then again. No answer. Her chest tightened, but she brushed it aside. Maybe he stepped out. Maybe he forgot to tell her. Then she saw it. A single envelope sat on the nightstand, her name written neatly across the front in Michael's familiar handwriting. Just Anna. Nothing more. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a folded sheet of paper. No photos. No goodbye gift. Just his words. "Anna, I know. Not everything. Not the details. I never wanted to know those. I just know something changed." He wrote about the way her laughter shifted, how her hugs shortened, how her eyes looked past him instead of at him. He mentioned the perfume that wasn't hers, the late nights, the half-truths. He admitted he wondered if he was imagining it, if he had done something wrong, if he had become boring. But no matter how I tried to twist it, the truth never changed. "You're in love with someone else. Or maybe just chasing something new." He told her he didn't hate her, that he only wished she told him the truth, that he loved her, every morning coffee run, every quiet habit, every version of her she no longer saw herself. "Lately, I've been watching you disappear. So I'm leaving." He didn't want to fight, didn't want to force her to choose. He already knew what she'd chosen. "Don't look for me. Not because I'm angry. Because I need to let you go. Be well. Michael." The letter slipped from Anna's fingers. The room seemed to close in on her, the silence louder than any argument he could have started. Her hand flew to her mouth as her breath broke apart. He knew. Every lie, every excuse, every night she came home carrying another man's touch. And he said nothing. He didn't scream. He didn't accuse. He loved her quietly all the way to the end, and that realization hurt more than anger ever could. He waited until she made her choice without even realizing she was doing it. Then he made his. That night, she wandered through the apartment like a ghost. Every room held memories, movie nights on the couch, wine spilled on the rug, burned toast in the kitchen. His cologne still lingered faintly in the bedroom. The closet was empty, his toothbrush gone, his books missing. The hoodies she used to steal vanished, as if he'd never been there at all. She sat on the bed, clutching the letter, tears spilling freely now, hot, silent, uncontrollable. She didn't cry because he left. She cried because he loved her enough not to make her stay. Days turned into weeks. Julian texted, called, asked when he could come over. She ignored him. The thrill that once consumed her felt hollow now, almost disgusting. Every message reminded her of what she traded away for something temporary. The bed felt too big. Mornings were unbearable. The silence pressed into her bones. One evening, she drove past Michael's favorite bookstore, hoping, foolishly, that she might see him there, smiling over some obscure title. But he was gone, and she knew, finally, that he always would be. Months later, Anna stood in front of the bathroom mirror. The woman staring back looked older, tired, changed. She thought about the woman she used to be, the one Michael loved without reservation. The woman who mistook consistency for boredom and devotion for something disposable. She opened a drawer and pulled out the letter. It was worn and creased, read so many times the paper felt fragile. She would never throw it away. It wasn't just his goodbye, it was proof of what she had destroyed with her own hands. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. The silence answered. Michael never came back. There were no second chances, no dramatic reunions. Just a letter and the echo of a love that had been real, deep, and quietly unconditional. Anna eventually moved out of the apartment. She left behind the furniture, the dishes, the rug they once argued over. She packed lightly and started over, but she carried the letter with her. Not to hold on, but to remember. Because sometimes the most painful regret isn't losing someone. It's realizing you were loved perfectly and only understood its value after it was gone. Michael did move on. Not quickly, not recklessly. There were months where he lived small, work, books, long walks with his thoughts. He learned how to sit with the hurt instead of running from it. He learned that loving deeply didn't make him weak, even if it had cost him everything once. Eventually, he met someone else. She listened when he spoke. She noticed the way he remembered small details, the way he showed love in quiet, steady ways. She didn't mistake his consistency for boredom or his gentleness for something lacking. She chose him every day. With her, Michael didn't have to wonder if he was enough. He didn't have to read between silences or question half-smiles. He laughed again, not cautiously but freely. He talked about books without feeling ignored. He built a life where love wasn't something he had to compete for. And for the first time in a long while, he felt at peace. Subscribe to the channel for more audio stories.